instructor, Gary. And I'm the program coordinator for accounting for the School of Continuing Professional Studies here at UVA. And I do thank you for the people attending in person and the virtual attendees as well. And so the theme tonight is just an accounting career conversation. So we have a few speakers to discuss insights into the accounting career. So if after the first question or before the first question, just go ahead and give a brief introduction of yourself, and then you can dive into the question that's there. And we'll have one speaker showing up in just a little bit, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. So it seems like any training I go to nowadays, they mention artificial intelligence. So you see AI everywhere. So the question start out is artificial intelligence going to replace accountants? So we're going to get some thoughts on that conversation, walk through the panel here, and just I'm hoping no for the answer. Again, I don't mean to tell you my hand or whatever, but we'll start with Abby on there, and will artificial intelligence replace accountants?
I'm going to say an emphatic no for that one. I think that people who are saying that artificial intelligence are, it's going to replace accountants, they don't actually know accounting. There is so much judgment and critical analysis and looking at something and figuring it out involved. There's a lot of brain power that I just don't think a machine will ever be able to replicate. There's so many weird little things that could happen, and you need a human mind to look it over. And so I don't see, maybe like the reconciliation, kind of more the manual stuff that could be automated, and I think we'd all be kind of happy about that. But the core accounting.
And I would say, what she says, no. And I'm with the Virginia Society of Certified Accountants, so I'm not, but I work with them, and we do a lot of training for our members. And one of the topics is AI. And what I hear is that it's not going to replace it. It may help like tasks, but
Thank you all for having me. My name's Thomas. I'm a proud CPA. And actually I'm the PwC recruiter as well. And this is a common question. It's a common concern. I think it's a fair one. And it's good to get different perspectives on it. But what I would say is absolutely the profession of accounting is not going anywhere. But I do think, as with other tools that have come before AI, like some tools can certainly revolutionize how the profession does work, right? Think about like a graphing calculator and then Excel and computers, right? All of those things did change how the profession works, but the profession is still around and it's not going anywhere. So while I think it may change how we work, I do not think it's anywhere near existential for us. And actually, I would even venture to flip it on its head and say AI makes it a very exciting time to go into accounting. In accounting careers of past, you might have spent a large part of your day doing some of the more menial number crunching-esque work. But now we have machines and, artificial intelligence agents that can do that work for us. So I think what that means for you all as you're considering starting a career in accounting is you start that career, you already get to focus on more value add activities, right? Things that are more human. Accounting is actually very social too. I don't think you can replicate that either. You need to know your clients, know how they're, etc. So I think it presents for all of you the opportunity to more value add tasks earlier on in your career than you would otherwise.
Hi, I'm Anushka. Thank you so much for having me, and good to meet you in person. But I studied at the UVA SCPS accounting certificate program just last year, soon after which I did my CPA, and I now work at PwC. My answer, same as everyone else, is a definite no. So I am an entry-level associate at PwC in the tax side, and more specifically, I work in corporate tax, so a lot of the tasks that we're given, us as associates, we have this fear of, are we doing very, very entry level work that could be replicated? And I think it's absolute no. We leverage, for instance, Chat PwC in our tasks, but most of our asks from directors and so on are always, hey, let's use Chat PwC to see what it thinks, what sources it gives you. So it's a great starting point. It'll give you some context behind whatever issue it is that you're researching, but it's never going to give you the exact right answer. I think, a lot of what we do specifically in tax, sorry, this example is so specific, is so nuanced that, it requires a great level of human judgment, to Abby's point. So yeah, a definite no.
Did you take the tax elective from the sound of it?
I did,
Oh.
and I did poorly at it. So it's ironic that I am in tax, but I do love being a part of the tax practice now.
The next question, again, you guys may have some, but I was thinking, in accounting, you can either specialize or generalize. And with the new CPA exam that got released last January, they're going more for a specialized where you pick the discipline of the 3 options that are available. And just curious, is that a trend that should be followed? Well, it has to be for the CPA exam, but is that a good trend, whether to generalize in like tax or a specific area, or to be broader and more generalized where a lot of different topics? So any thoughts on that? Do we start with Abby again? Abby's like,
Also, I didn't introduce myself. I'm Abby. I work at the International Brotherhood of Teamsters, and I'm the academic officer at the Internal Auditors chapter. I say, sorry, question.
yeah, whether to specialize or generalize in your accounting or your person.
I would say, if you are genuinely interested in something, then specialize in it. I specialized in nonprofit accounting. I started my career at Grant Thornton in public. And I learned pretty quickly that I didn't want to work on public clients or corporate clients. I wanted to work more nonprofit side of things. And that got me really acquainted with called the Uniform Guidance Supplement. I don't know if anyone else has heard of it, but basically there's a ton of rules that you have federal grant funding that you have to follow, and there's a ton of tests when you audit, for grant funding at the end of the year. And I became specialized in that, and that opened up a lot of doors for me in terms of just becoming so focused on this one kind of arcane piece of one document, compliance supplement. Learning that backwards and forwards opened up a lot of doors for me, and especially at a lower level, when have that kind of knowledge, or even more so, the wherewithal to study, become kind of start the process of specializing alone. Because obviously you can't become a specialist. But you can kind of figure out what you want to work on. And so that helped me in terms of working on only nonprofit clients in public. I liked doing that. I worked on uniform guidance compliance audits. I liked that a lot. And then that allowed me to jump off from public accounting to now I work. Somehow, something interesting about the Teamsters, it's an organization run by people about business. The president is a former truck driver. The general secretary treasurer is a former UPS driver. So they know a lot about a lot of things, but accounting is not one of them. So it turns out that I am like the nonprofit accounting specialist at Teamsters, even though I was a nonprofit accountant for like 2 years. So I think that specializing early in your career, and other people may have perspectives, but it opened up.
And nobody cares about grant funding anymore, do they? It's not.
Not a single. I got out at the best time I could.
Okay.
I left not even thinking.
Yeah. I'm coming at this from the perspective of membership association for CPA. I think about all the members that I interact with. I think that's what's so great about the profession, that you really can make your career based on what your interests are and what your situation is. So I know members who are highly specialized, and I know some that have jobs where they a lot of different things. So that's like a great answer, but it really just depends on what you want. I think there's a lot of flexibility too, in just, I know members who have been at the same job forever, and some that have like started out nonprofit and got into nonprofit. So I just think that's what's really great.
They're great. From my point of view, I would almost say like very less about generalist versus specialist. It's like while you're studying accounting, like follow what interests you, right? That will do you very well in your life and in your career. You will definitely have lots of different opportunities to, you know, get into the nitty gritty of something. Like it sounds like you are now like an expert in, forget what it was called even.
Uniform guidance.
The uniform guidance, yes.
Urge all of you to Google it and read all
Yeah.
5 pages. I'm kidding, don't do that.
There's no pictures.
Yeah.
That's not one.
So
The
you can
tables.
do that though. It's such a great example. Like if that interests you, if that's your jam, you become an expert and you become valuable in your team, have that expertise. But that doesn't mean you're like pigeonholed.
Yeah.
Like you can still do other things and have different experiences. The great thing is like much everything needs an accountant, any business to function. So like when you look at it from that perspective, like you still have this broad horizon of opportunity. So sometimes students come to me worried about like getting pigeonholed. And it's almost funny because like from our perspective, like we don't see that. It's just this fear that you have
Yeah.
that I think is kind of unfounded. Just because the opportunities are out there and they're very broad.
I think it's so specific, right? I feel like when I did the CPA exam, we had BEC before these 3 concepts came in, and it was so jumbled. Like it's 5 different topics. But I am almost more thankful for it than the specialization. Right now, I'm in the most generalist group there is in tax. We touch partnerships, S corps. We're put into different specialist teams sometimes, and what they call us is like we basically do a little bit of everything. So I think starting off, it felt like, why am I not specializing like the M&A folk or some of the other folks? But now I see the value add in it is that you know a little bit about everything, and people are gonna rely on those skills, which, you know, a specialist may not even have since they're only specializing in that one thing. So I really think that could go either way, but at an entry level, I think you should just be open to whatever placement or situation you're put in, because you truly don't know what your strengths are until you try the most generalist thing, and then pick up, you know, specialize as you go up in your career.
And you did notice we do have another speaker here, so I'll have her do an introduction real quick. And then I guess for her, she's a headhunter, not to take some of her thunder away. You might call it career, or you might have a different term.
Depends on the hour.
So, but how has AI changed the job search is your question?
Oh,
Okay.
is that was the original question?
No, is, well, you guys, they had an
That's my
easier question.
question.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because you're more specialized than generalized. So the
Sure.
question was specialized or generalized, but we'll.
So really quickly, I've been a financial recruiter, specialized in accounting and finance for 20 years at JustinBradley. I started,
Her name?
oh, my name is Christy
Yes. okay.
Andrus. I'll give everybody my card after. I'll expect everyone will want to get with me. And so I'm listening, I'm gathering, we've got public accounting folks, we've got folks in industry, we've got association folks. Hi, nice to see you. My best advice is just get a job. Just get a job and start doing it. And then you realize I like this, I don't like this, or where's this taking me? And I'm going to the next thing. As you get further on in your career, though, you will get more specialized because companies will make you be specialized. They're like, we only want to hire people with nonprofit. We only want to hire someone with public, with SEC reporting. We only want to hire. And so then you'll find that your skills and experience are only attracted to certain types of companies. And then you just become an expert, you start to get an expertise that gives you more earning power, more clout at work. So you start to realize, oh, maybe this is benefiting me, that I'm the only SEC ever. AI. AI is, accountants are trying to figure out how AI is going to benefit them. And I'm really only seeing it sort of at the very lower levels of accounting, like AP. How can we code all these invoices? And, it's very basic. AI is never going to replace accountants. Accountants need human minds. I know it, I feel it. We've been talking about this forever, how automation was going to replace the accountant. 20 years ago when I started recruiting, and I kept thinking, oh, I'm not gonna have a job. And it's still not happened 20 years later. So I do see people using AI. I'll give you a specific example. I'll give you two examples. One is that someone coming out of college didn't have a very good headshot of themselves. And it was like, and he went to an AI and they took his headshot and made it look like a model. Like fabulous, but not that weird not that weird AI generated picture, but it was phenomenal. And it helped him get a couple of internships. And now he just got a job offer and he's only going to be a senior at University of Wisconsin-Madison. He's already got a job offer to go into accounting, a pension accounting role. And he's going to take it. Me, pensions are like, people are still doing pensions.
Who does? I'll work.
Right. It seems quasi-government, and I'm thinking Big Four, you could do, a lot of different things. But, he's interned and he kind of liked and they were giving him more and more responsibility. And he's like, I'm going to start here. Honestly, just like I said, start anywhere. Take any, figure out who's going to hire you right now. And spend a year. Do I like this job? Do I not? And how can I leverage my next one? The other AI is, and like I said, some more lower level things, but since this administration and sort of the DOGE effect in Washington, there have been a lot of people with government and nonprofit resumes that read very government and nonprofit that are very hard to move into the private sector. I don't have private sector. So I said to a couple of people, why don't you run your great nonprofit resume through AI and say, can you write a resume? Can you revamp my resume to not sound so much like profit so I can apply for a for-profit job? AI does a great job of that without stealing the thunder of what you've been doing for the past couple of years. It takes out some of the acronyms and some of the things that are so specific. And my neighbor, I'm telling you, she was the head of the E-Verify program at ICE. We retired because gave her early retirement, asked her to leave. She's like, this is all I, for the past whatever. And I said, run it through AI. Can you give me a private resume? She applied to a job at Amazon in their HR group, and she got an interview. But she had sent her over a month places before she created this other or that read a little more mainstream. So I do see AI helping with communications, writing. Wouldn't solely rely on it, but it's definitely can give you some ideas. Even in my business, I'm like, so somebody didn't get a job. What's a good thing to say to someone? And they'll give you, and they're like, well, do you want a funny one or do you want or professional one? And I'm like, just give me some ideas, because I'm going into this hard conversation with someone. So that's how I see it helping me, and probably everyone else here is searching for words or how to express something or write something.
And many of you got your bachelor's degree in a different topic. So she was using the government example, but it might be able to switch your resume with more of an accounting flavor or finance flavor, just doing that little step could be really helpful. Beneficial. So there is some overlap frequently. Accounting is everywhere. So let me go to the next, it seems to be everywhere. So the next question was, how can you take accounting and blend interests? And the example, again, through VSCPA, they had a speaker of 2 months back that was the CFO of the Baltimore Ravens. And he loves sports. And he used accounting to be able to get that kind of job, which it was very inspiring. So, but how can, if you have a passion for one area, maybe whatever you got your initial bachelor's degree in, and now you want to go in accounting, how can you leverage that, or how can you parlay, or whatever the word, how can you make that to pursue another interest or passion? And I mean, you shared a little bit of that. You like whatever that was you were talking about now. So, but any thoughts on how accounting can make even if you just like accounting and love something else, you can do other interests. That makes sense.
I think that accounting is probably one of the best careers you have in terms of being a job and also involved in something that you love. I think that we get so tied up, like say you want to be an artist or a singer or that kind of thing, but then you have to make art or speak every day for 9 hours and then you get kind of sick of it. Then it ruins the magic for you. I think that accounting is a great way to have a career that you find fulfilling and interesting without it like taking away from your passions or diminishing it. And so for me, I started in public at Grant Thornton, wide variety of clients. And I found that those that were most interesting were the nonprofit clients. I liked the way the businesses were structured. I liked the people who worked there. And I liked that they were mission driven. And so to me to kind of find for my next step, I knew I didn't want to stay forever. I'm not cut out for it. Some people are built different, but it's really hard. Hard. Anyone who's worked can attest to it. And I just after 2 years, I was like, you know what? Let's go on to something a little more reasonable time commitment. And so by specializing in the nonprofit space, then I got to look for nonprofit jobs. And what was very cool was now I got to look for nonprofit jobs with missions that I was interested in. So I was like, oh, I'll apply for animal shelters. I'll apply for museums. And then I spoke with the recruiter and they had this job available at a labor union, which wasn't something I'd ever really thought about before. And then I watched The Irishman. And I was like, and now I work at the Teamsters and I love it. It's a storied institution. It's a weird institution. A lot of crazy stuff has happened there and will continue to happen there till end of time, I assume. But by keeping my interests open and learning, don't pigeonhole yourself by being like, I'm only interested in sports, so I only want to do sports accounting. It might be that like you have a client, and I had a client, the Archdiocese of Baltimore, the Catholic Church of Baltimore. I mean, you can only imagine the weird stuff that was going on in there. Actually, they actually went bankrupt a few years ago. I'm glad they were not.
Wasn't her fault.
That wasn't me. They got a clean audit the year I was there.
It's like a lot of cash.
They were bankruptcy. They had to pay off a lot of settlements and they went bankrupt.
Of that, yeah, we remember.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. But you get exposed to things that maybe you never thought of as interesting before, but now it turns out well. And so you just have to keep your brain open in your mind for all these new things that could be.
Yeah, I would say too, like the speaker we had, CFO. Yay. We always say it's damn. But I also think about a lot of our members of a passion, a niche that hasn't been served. So we have a member who started out in public, then went to industry insurance. And at the same time, she was also an influencer. So in college, she had a blog called The Accounting Struggle, just about her being real honest about her how hard accounting was for her, but she's successful and she's on our board of directors. But it got a lot of traction from that blog and then on our social media. She saw that there was a bunch of these influencers so much money out. So she actually went out on her own. Started out helping influencers, like I can help. So she has her own vertical. Then another one and started out that but athlete who had a lot of money and didn't know how to manage it. So he started accounting like work. Tax stuff. So seen a lot of that, which is kind of cool. Kind of matching a passion, need, and
I'm a Bengals fan for the record, not Baltimore Ravens, so I do have, and somebody needs to help Trey Hendricks. But go ahead.
No, I mean, actually to both of your points, like we've been saying, like everything needs accounting, right? Like it to like have an enterprise, have a business, like need accounting. So there's just such this breadth of possibilities. When I was like, you know, choose like what do I study? Well, I guess before you are now like, doing like a bachelor's degree. I actually knew that I wanted to study Spanish, but I knew that I didn't want to be like a translator full time or like I was looking for something to make it a little more marketable, a little more employable. I was in an accounting course and it really spoke to me, got me excited, and I was like, I wonder if I can combine these two majors, right? If I study Spanish and accounting, like, it was very left brain, right brain. How do I marry these two degrees? And I found that answer at PwC. I started my career as a forensic accountant, essentially like you're a fraud detective, oversimplified. And I got to, candidly, I think I got my job today because I did a case interview that was honestly pretty lukewarm, but I was lukewarm in Spanish. The man interviewing me was from Mexico, and he did hire me to work on his team. And so I got to do some fraud investigations out of South America, Spain. Do some traveling a bit, and we have some cool travel perks. You can extend like work travel pleasure. So yeah, just like really got to take my passion, take something really practical and also exciting, like accounting, and blend those two and use it to like jumpstart my career, get me to where I wanted to go. That very much like path of like other folks I've met are right. Accounting is a great way to like get you where you're at.
I think there's like two different answers in my head, one being more so relating to, you know, within my corporate tax group, we have such different clientele. We have, you know, media conglomerates, hotels, aerospace, and so on. You know, when you're new, you get placed by default on teams that need that space. So initially you're like, oh, I would have wanted this engagement. It would have been much cooler. But upon, you know, the research that you do or the tax consulting component of our jobs, you discover such cool connections that those firms or those clients then have to things at large. For example, last week we were doing a defense agreement, and we realized that there was this whole plot that, you know, our clients, this person's third parties relating to someone in the big wars that are going on. Or for example, I love the streaming industry. I love following along with like Netflix, HBO, and so on. And so having one of them as our clients and, you know, seeing what it is they do from the tax side, their strategic decisions, I think you look at things in a very different way. But putting the tax technical aside, at the end of the day, post-COVID, our teams are trying to push for so much connectivity in the office. And given that most of us are, you know, COVID hires or post-COVID hires, the practice of us meeting in person isn't as frequent as the partners, the directors in our companies. And so we started a newsletter. As I grew up, I used to love public speaking. So now we're trying to launch a Toastmasters chapter at PwC. So there's so much time and space for you to do what it is you like while also doing your technical and keeping proficient with the CPE courses and whatnot. And I also think that the senior leadership, as long as you have a supportive set of team members, they'll push you into any which way. Like my newest pitch has been to do more Pilates classes with our teams, just to have our team members mingle more, or yoga. So I just think whatever idea it is, as long as you're able to balance that workload, you can thrive and make it fun rather than just making it super technical.
On that one, I know.
I mean, what was the original? It kind of
blend
got
accounting
diverted to
with the-
Pilates. I'm thinking.
Well, it was passion, but Pilates works. So whatever you,
How do you find the passion? Yeah,
how you blend accounting to be able to. do,
Sure.
The real, like he mentioned, Thomas mentioned that he liked Spanish, but accounting
Yeah.
helped him to be able to, how you meld them together.
you know, believe it or not, a lot of accountants and a lot of CPAs today didn't get a degree in accounting. And they went back and got an accounting certificate. Somehow in one of their early jobs, they got the chance to do some accounting. I think I'm an accountant now. And then they go back and go to Northern Virginia Community College. They has a great, certificate in accounting that folks can get. And that sort of employers kind of they want you to have some accounting training, clearly up in the ranks. And a lot of those people go on, to get CPAs and become CFOs.
Kind of our next question is work-life balance. How many hours or what's this paying dues in accounting about? And I know Abby's already mentioned that with one of her responses, but any thoughts on I have to work 80 hours a week, tax season. Or
Right.
busy?
Tax, I feel tax is a different beast.
She'll attest to that.
Just so you know, you just pick one or the other.
It should be a 4-letter word is what I'm, the bad joke. So go ahead.
Accounting is cyclical. It's deadline oriented, but it's very cyclical. It's the same every month. But when your busy times are. You have to manage your life so that you take advantage of it. If you're an accountant, you just have to do that or you will burn. The other thing is you, as an accountant, if you're in a smaller firm, the owner may come to you and say, hey, could you run this report? There's a lot of ad hoc things that you end up staying until like 8 o'clock at night, like trying to get in for the night. You're in a bigger company, you're more siloed. Your function, do your function. We have a 4-day close and we're going to do it that way every month. And the last week and the first couple of days of every month are going to be crazy. So if you're going to take time off, figure out how to do that the second, third week of every. Or you may have some other deliverables, that are due that month. I will say accountants are probably the hardest to work. Most honest, ethical people. I would never do recruiting any other career field. I just wouldn't. Accountants, they kind of tell you how it is. Lots of times they really actually need my help because generally speaking, they're not big network. They're not out like shaking, on LinkedIn all day. They're busy and their heads are down. And so, and it wouldn't be like, they like numbers probably more than letters. Anyway, that's
And
probably
people,
their
and people. Okay.
Well, we could all probably say
Yeah.
that at the time. So they really do need a recruiter's help, in identifying opportunities, how to present them, their experience and themselves in an interview, because you don't interview all the time. You don't know what to do. Sure, all of you. I haven't interviewed in years. I wouldn't know what to say in you, or what's the trend now, or what do people want to hear? And so they do need career advice, coaching, and leads, to opportunities, mainly because they don't have time to job board all day. Be busy. And that's the last thing you want to do when you go home to is job board. So we're a really good resource, I think, for a lot of accounting folks. And they've, you treat someone well, they treat well, is approach to everything. So I've only had good experiences, I think. Accounting folks. Now, IT, they would probably leave a job for 50 cents more. And it's what I hear. And I don't think I could take that. I got multiple deals going on, and with, I like my accounting network. I like those people. I kind of do well. And I started out as an accountant. So maybe, I did payroll. So I'm still a member of APA process. Go to their meetings and sit with the ladies. But so I hope, does that answer your question?
The question was work-life balance, but you're there because you may need to look for a job if you don't have a good work-life balance. So it kind of dovetailed or fit in nicely, but
I think remote work helped accounting unbelievably. Now calling accountants back into the office, that's hard. It's not even fair because nobody even really knew they were there in their office anyway. You gotta walk by accounting and so I do think everyone should go into it, but accountants tell the story of a company. So they should be there. They need to know every revenue stream, everyone in marketing, everyone in sales, everyone who's doing everything. But I think 3 days a week to bond with your company and your team, feel like you have a culture, is good. And then to give accountants a break and let them just work from home in their hoodies. That's a good balance.
do you agree with that?
Actually, yeah, I think that when you said 3
Pilates.
days, I was like, yes, but yep. But yeah, to your point, and then on the work-life balance, one of the first few things you hear Big Four recruiters and partners say is they love the people. And I don't think you really feel that until you're placed in a team and you go through busy season together. I think my view towards in-person would have been so different had I not started or pivoted to accounting. I was in sales before, and just a little bit of context, I pivoted to accounting last year. I think some of the best opportunities or teams I got placed on was simply because I was strolling to get coffee, met a director, and he said, "Hey, I have an opening on my team. Did you want to join us?" And that happened to be the most fun, well, fun is a subjective word, but the most beneficial opportunity I had. Or, the types of questions you have, which are too silly for Teams chats or too silly for emails, but you can just turn around, ask, and you get an answer. Or the amount of Excel formula hacks that you're going to get sitting next to someone who's so proficient. But fitting towards the work-life balance, I think best part about audit or tax is that you know exactly when you'll be busy. I actually just got back from Puerto Rico yesterday. I was off for a week. I saw Bad Bunny, who's my favorite artist. And it is a busy time for us right now since we're heading into, 9/15, 10/15 filing compliance season. But no one's going to bother you as long as you're reliable and you leave your work streams in a good place. And I think I do value that a lot about public accounting, contrary to sometimes the horror stories you hear about the 80-hour work week. Now, I know that's coming. I know there's going to be some long weekends, but, one fine day, if I text or message my, managers on the team, listen, I really want to do bottomless brunch today. As long as I'm delivering work on time and I'm reliable, I know they will say, it's fine, take a few hours off. The world's not gonna turn upside down. So I think there's been a better job of keeping your sanity in check and also enjoying the work. Yeah.
But there, you do learn a lot through osmosis, being in the office, for sure.
Thomas, did you have to do 80-hour weeks? You're a little bit further ahead than her in the
Uh,
company.
So the interesting thing about forensics is fraud doesn't follow a filing deadline. So it's a little more variable there. You might be on an investigation and then just keep working until the trial or whatever, so that is a little more unpredictable. What I'll say about work-life balances, it's no secret that at times it can be very demanding profession. I think there are also a lot of nuances, like as with everything, it depends on the context. I think all else equal, like some circumstances, like public accounting has like might be working long hours, and some people like do time in public and then they move to private, hoping for a bit of work-life balance. But private accountants are also working really hard too, right? They have filing deadlines, they work with their auditor, etc. So like, hard work is an inherent part of the accounting field. I wouldn't want to tell you otherwise, right? You should know what you're signing up for. But it's
Don't want to scare him away.
Fields though too. IT works sometimes late at night. Salespeople, they do a whole day of meetings and then they go to an event at night. Everybody in a company is probably working more than 3 hours a week if you think about it.
And what I'll say, Anushka, great point, right? Like, at least I can speak for our firm at PwC. We take like all your work-life balance. We also say BW3, well, work well, is our little shtick. But we do take it very seriously. So we give you a ton of resources, just like fringe benefits. So that's like a benefit beyond just all
that a
these
bad
different
bounty
perks.
I wish.
Oh, that would be next level. I'll have to put that in the comment box. But just so many great resources, and Anushka's point, like if you can communicate proactively, I think that is your secret or hopefully not so secret weapon, right? Set clear expectations and boundaries. Explain what are your non-negotiables for your well-being. And at least at a firm like ours, and I'm sure at many others, like accountants, they take that seriously, right? They want you to live a fulfilling life both in and outside of work.
Yeah, I mean, again, since I've contacted so many different CPAs and talked about just all the different career available, I think knowing like that, find right work, but you're also in. So, we have at the Virginia Society we're a nonprofit, so we have about 5 on staff, just one CPA. We have about 3-hour work, benefits, and much work. She has her crunch times with her audit and budgeting, all that stuff, but she kind of found her place that really works for her. Mom had, so I think, finding out what you want and really looking at jobs and talking to jobs, learn about what's out.
Nonprofits have a 37 half hour. Do you typically stick to that? Does everyone?
Teamsters shift work. It's you got your 8-hour shift. You show up in the morning, you leave at your prescribed time in the afternoon. No one expects you to stay any later. If you want work-life balance, get a labor union. I mean,
I thought labor meant work.
you, institution is old. It moves slowly, but their main priority is taking care of their, there are people who've been working at years. crazy. But, and benefits are unbeatable. It's stuff that, you know, like I don't pay for my health insurance, that's 100%. And it's like shift work, I show up at 8, I leave at 4 every day. And this is coming from, so I was working in public accounting before, for, and I was hired during COVID, all remote work, and that really didn't work for me. Contrary to what I thought, I figured like being able to roll out of bed and laptop and in pajamas, I love that. But it just made it so that work became my entire life, and then I was just at home all the time, and home was also my office, and there was like work stuff around, and I just couldn't separate. Where now I go into the office every day. I show up, I start my work day, even I end my work. I do not think about work outside of those hours. And no one expects me to, and that's lovely. But that was something consciously I wanted to.
I had another question I was thinking, and we've heard some alluding to it or references to it, but how important are soft skills in accounting profession? So not just crunching the numbers, but how important are people skills or skills that even sending emails or writing emails and that kind of. Any thoughts? And I know you have some thoughts. So, but so how important are soft skills for accountants? And you previously mentioned that we like numbers and we don't like the other stuff. So
Generally speaking,
okay.
I think everyone needs career development in talking to people. I think it's great that you're doing because public speaking is definitely something. If you advance in your career in accounting, you're gonna have to explain numbers, non-numbers people. That's a skill in itself. And it can't be shot. Also, being able to speak with some level of assertiveness or confidence gives people a sense of your expertise. The more you practice that, do it, more credible, will take you more seriously. Yeah, and you'll find that in all aspects of your life. So how do you do that? I mean, you really do have practice. That could be looking in a mirror, videoing yourself. You know, you're going to also have to interview. All of us have probably are great at our jobs, but as soon as you have to sit down, someone you're lost for words, right? Or have you ever had to write your resume last minute? Oh my God, what do I do? You know, so practicing, you know, that your story. Also, even if you stay in public accounting, they're going to expect you at some point, and that makes you more valuable in the firm. So more clients like you, and not just on a tummy basis. The more they respect you, talk to you about business language, trust what you're saying, pretty quickly. Even in a nonprofit, they have a board of directors. One of them, you know, it's just something to work on. Toastmasters, huh? Practicing in front of a mirror.
Yeah, I think so. You know, I worked in sales for 3 years and then joined as a first-year associate last year. And I always think wasted so much time. And then the first audit I was placed on, the director on that team says, everything in life is sales, even in tax, even in audit. And I disagreed with her initially. And then I saw the value of it as we, you know, did this audit together, because audit is just so much teamwork. You really need to work in teams. And a big part of that is your communication, your soft skills. I think, you know, from my rung, you see people at different levels of seniority, and we hear about people that are not given promotions just because they don't have that soft skill to lead a team or to speak about the tax technicals. And a really good piece of advice I received was you should know how to give an executive summary of something when you're talking to people, different levels of seniority, you know? The way I might explain something to an intern versus that same problem to a partner has to be maybe cut it down 20, 30 seconds, you know? So I think context matters, and you only learn that by obviously having more vocal practice. I think one activity that we do, which is really fun, is every Thursday we do a tax lunch and learn, which is essentially we pick a tax topic. So 2 weeks back we did the one big beautiful bill, and we have associates and senior associates volunteer to lead that topic, and the industry leadership sit and actually listen to us and question us. And so when you're doing that in a room full of 20, 30 people in your tax team, you're not only building up, you know, your ability to talk about, okay, the bill, its repercussions, how it impacts our group, but then you also get corrected by, you know, your leaders when you're maybe interpreting something wrong, or if you're not catching some concepts clearly. So I think our firm allows that, and sometimes you need it. You can't be sitting on your screen all day. And so activities like that, I think we newly formed a DC Tax Council too, with the intentions of having more of these conversations and making them associate-led for that very reason.
And it's not just accounting. I mean, across the company.
Permeates it.
And I'm surprised more colleges don't include that in their program.
Yeah, so,
I think even in terms of hierarchy, one thing that I've noticed is I'm just a year in, but I'm really comfortable to take on client calls and lead them through certain things. Whereas I know people that are maybe 3 years in still dread being on camera and doing a walkthrough of a tax concept or tax software. So I think
well,
once
don't
you
talk about Thomas when you think right now. Yeah, But Thomas, any thoughts on that?
No, no.
Okay.
Wow, great points made already. I think like at a really fundamental level, accountant, you're selling trust. You are auditing a company's financials so that investing public or just other stakeholders can understand and believe numbers. Or maybe you're helping the company accurately calculate its tax obligation. All of that, like what underpins it is trust. And part of selling trust is inspiring confidence, right? So that requires people skills and it requires social skills. I think I said it earlier, but I think people don't realize how social accounting is, right? It's essential to get to know your stakeholders, just the players at your client, understand how they do business, understand their needs in order to better meet them. That's client service, but it's also just instilling confidence and helping you ultimately sell that trust. Accountant. Just like a little anecdote that can stay in this room. So we just wrapped up our intern class. We just wrapped up our interns. PwC nationwide has like over 3,000 interns in summer. And we tend to see like very high return offer rates for full time. We do a lot of our hiring due diligence, you know, for the, right? So if you get the internship, you do the job, pretty set. That is still the rule. What's interesting is the folks, and they're few and far between, but who ultimately fall short of that mark and don't get time return offers. One of the interesting trends we were noting is issue is like people skills, right? Things as simple as like, you know, do you respond to pings like these are instant messages like semi quickly and coherently? Do you keep your calendar up to date? When you RSVP yes to a meeting, do you show up? Are you attending during that meeting? Ask thoughtful questions, take notes to show you're paying attention. Things like that seem like so minor. But you know, if you fumble in those areas, it's really difficult to build that trust that again underpins everything. So I would say while the digital and the technical are all fabulous and also a very important part of the job, at least someone who's going to be successful in the accounting field can marry those two, bringing in soft skills to complement that. I think that is the dream.
And I can add that too, again, from the Asian perspective, So Virginia Society, our mission is simple. It's to help our members thrive. That's our members who are CPAs, accountants, teachers. So we do a lot of advocacy work, a lot of continuing for I think one of the most important kind of it's involved, but it really is a community. And what I hear our members say is that but it's people that you meet, connections that you make. You might find your next job or you might one that can help you. It's a great way to kind of start out, if you're nervous, start out simple, attend. I mean, you're all here, so that's the fact that you're here. Us meeting us is a really step. Involved with for professional association, really great. Just continue to practice networking. A mentor can be.
You're not, they have a student membership for the Virginia Society. Yeah, I believe it's, but
It's
it's
free.
so urge you, if you have looked at that, course, each courses. They offer a lot of different benefits.
Yeah, I have cards. I can have a free mentoring program. So it just closed and I'm matching. We have a lot of students at program.
Here.
You've probably heard that accounting is the language of business. And it's so true because often when you're talking about accounting, it's not that they think language, because you are in a lot of ways. So soft skills are so important. You have to communicate effectively. And also something, people are kind of scared of accountants. You're not that.
Especially auditors.
I'm the audit manager, internal audit department, and no one wants. I'm emailing them, they're like, 6 people get a phone call, like, why is the auditor calling me? And so I do what I can to offset that. It's like you arrive in my office, everything is pink. I have so many miniature figurines of cats. Like I'm doing everything I can to try and be like on the same. But so you really do have to present yourself in a positive way. And also I just generally, your career is gonna be so easy to be around. All of the people I beef with at work, it's not, if you mess up or do something wrong and you're a nice person, right? That's not what I mean, right? If you mess up and you do something wrong and you're like, that's a finding, I'm sorry, in my report. So it's, you have to, what you bring to the table is socially, even just being pleasant, kind to be around, it can get you out of some sticky situations.
Yeah, so the only thing worse than audit is tax. Oh, sorry. I'm just kidding. We're almost at our time, unfortunately, and again, we could have gone longer, but I just want to close like 1 or 2 pieces of advice you would give to someone that is considering or pursuing an accounting career. This, I know we'll close with her because she'll have fun and she'll have cards with her as well if you're here in person, but just 1 or 2 pieces, what I wish I would have known while I was following that path. And Abby, we'll start with you.
I would say,
You're nice.
say that obtaining your CPA license is a difficult, arduous, and long-term homework. Years. I started, just got it this past. I feel I've deserved it. It's really, really hard. It's isolating. No one really wants to talk to you about the tax code when that's like all you have in your brain. A lot of stuff like that, but you stick it out, you will become such you'll have such a skill. You'll know more about business than most CEOs. I would probably say all of them. I don't know if any of you have interacted with CEO recently, but know that much about business. And it's a prudent choice to make. It's difficult, especially onset.
Yeah, and it's actually a license. I want to distinguish that instead of just a certification that is also, there's many out there and I'm not bashing it, but the CPA, I think, has an additional prestige component to it. It is a license for the state. And Molly, he's from the Society of CPA, so I know you know the value of that. So, but
Yeah, I would say, like, you could, like, take advantage of us, get our cards, contact us. I always tell students, 12 members, your student about kind of, I could probably someone. I know these folks that like this, found that accountants, they're so passionate, as you can tell, about accounting. And they're also really about future. And they want to see you.
yeah, you referenced it real quick. So when I was became an accountant a few years later, I signed up for the Speakers Bureau that they have at the Society CPAs. And one of the jobs that came down, or one of the requests, was to speak at UVA Falls Church, SCPS, to tell people about becoming accountants. And I had no intention of going into academia. I wasn't planning on being in teaching classes. And then after I spoke, said, would you be interested in being an instructor? And that's the whole reason, because I volunteered for a gig at the Virginia Society CPA that I to the gig and free, which is fine. So you may have to do some stuff along the way, and that's okay. I enjoyed it. So and it into a career transition like you guys. Go ahead, Thomas. I'm sorry. One piece of advice. So
it's all such, it's really solid advice, honestly. I had to echo some of the points made, like CPA it is hard to get, but it is worth it. I think that's exactly what you said, but I'll say it again. One fun fact, and this is outdated, by the way, so the figure's probably even higher. But if you look at accountants who have a CPA license or not, you have a CPA license over the course of your lifetime, you can expect to earn like on average $1 million more in terms of earnings. So more like studying with Becker or whatever you're studying and you're ready to hit your head against the wall, instead of seeing like fire, just see dollar signs, right? That's like one very like practical way to motivate yourself. But yeah, I think just remembering that like you're playing the long game, getting the CPA, you are being able to enter a profession that is protected, right? Like you have to be CPA to practice and to do certain accounting tasks. So not only are you investing in your, so you're investing in like your ability. Like we said before, we also are betting, if we were betting people, we would say that accountants are not going anywhere, even in light of AI, while other professions will not be. Right. So I think like try to keep that perspective of like you're playing the long game. That would be advice. And then another very actionable advice, if I may, is that PwC is posting jobs on Monday. So take a look at the flyer there. I mentioned, I should have clarified, I'm the outgoing UVA recruiter. Your new UVA recruiter from PwC is Rachel. She's on the flyer. Scan the QR code, keep in touch with us. Check out the jobs board on Monday if you're interested.
I think I'll pivot to Abby's point where you mentioned that, like, most CEOs don't know much. So I'll go the opposite route. So, growing up, my parents, they're both PAs, so the Indian equivalent of CPAs. And my dad made his way in for the last 15 years. And the first piece of advice he gave me was learn accounting, like that'll take you anywhere. And he basically leveraged that to, get into industry and get where he is now. But yes, to add on to all three of you, I think know your fundamentals for the CPA. It is crazy how many times we work with such technical, even private equity firms, and we're looking at their journal entries and we're like, they don't even understand the basics. So I think even if it's accounting 201, 202, I think knowing the fundamentals will really get you places, because even with such experienced people in the room, you can sit down and what works where and how it works, how it comes together as a piece. I think you can stand out and really impress your peers, your workers, whoever it is, yeah.
No, there's not just one piece of advice, but one or two pieces of advice or something.
I definitely know that I know for a fact increase your opportunities and your income. And that's, you can even get your CPA. You don't even have to keep it active.
Don't tell.
And you can. The fact that you've passed your CPA and that you have a number, so I'll just, it's not like it's a lifetime of, oh my God, I gotta keep learning and unless you want to, and many do, and many are in professions where they need to.
Good save.
Just so you know.
No, when you get your CPA, I'm like, I'm not practicing accounting anymore, I recruit accountants. You can pry that thing from my cold, dead hands. I will never let that baby lapse. I put in the work. So yeah.
You do all of your
Yeah.
credits every year.
And via CPA helps.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
I just got my physical like paper license in the mail and I took it to a frame store and it's, please frame this like a portrait of a king.
It's not common to see accounting majors, well, a few decide to go get an MBA rather than sit for, sort of make that transition. It's more common to see somebody with a finance degree move into accounting person. And tax is completely different, once again. Yeah. I mean, 80% of people get a job through someone. And if you don't know anyone at the time, a recruiter could be. So my advice to everyone, you'll, be visible, LinkedIn, want to have a good picture, want to keep your update. Also want to have some keywords, a good, company description, just a summary about you, and people will find you. Recruiters are looking, and they'll email, they'll message you. To me, it's better to say no, thank you, or maybe next time, or I'm happy now, or thanks, rather than just ignore, those folks because they don't come back. Once you've kind of ignored them, and then when you really need them, very humbling, probably.
Don't burn bridges.
With anyone,
Yeah.
even in a job that you're not happy, it's still in your life. It doesn't go away. And you always, need references. People know people. Small business folks, everybody. So just everyone you come into contact with, be pleasant encounter and fun. Because it may come back.
No, we got to close and she's going to be around if you want to talk to her. But the piece of advice that Abby said, be nice. That's what, again, be nice to people. So that can go a long ways towards helping.
It just does.
It does. It's really beneficial. So I know you've been mean your whole life, but if you can. But thank you for attending tonight. We won't keep you longer, but I do appreciate the people that came in person as well as the people virtually attending. So if you have questions, we'll do a follow-up email to everybody and give some of the contact information as well. But we do thank you for attending. And then if you're here in person, make sure you eat some of that food so she doesn't have to carry it out. And also talk to any of the speakers that may have been available. Thank you for attending tonight. And again, wish you success in wherever you are in your accounting. Thanks.